of our classes, okay? We said we was going to go into the information on Idumea, identifying beyond any shadow of a doubt who Esau and the Edomites were, and we did that in prior series, but there was some detailed information that we wanted to pinpoint, and that's the Jewish people today. Okay, it seems everyone, there's many factions out there that are up in arms about us claiming that we are the Jews of the diaspora based on the slave trades, but yet there's no questioning the Europeans out there that are claiming And I'm going to say this, no information we're going to bring is anti-Semitic in terms of hating the people of Israel. I'm from one of the tribes of Israel. I'm from Judah, and therefore I can't be anti-Semitic because I don't hate jot down all the information. This is detailed information you will not find in any college that teaches, like theologian colleges or any type of institutions. I want to start off by starting off with this picture here. If you can see this picture clearly here. Okay, I'm pulling out this picture first because when we claim that the Europeans in America, in Israel today are not Jews, we get flack. But yet we identify these people you see here on this picture as Jews, dressed in all black and have long white beards and are up against the dome of the temple. We're going to show you why they're there, the reason they're there. And we never get any pushback on a mass or an international scale when we say that these people are not from the tribes of Israel. So the question is, if they're not from the tribes of Israel, what are they doing in Israel? And we're going to give you information on that too, okay? Why they wear all black like this? We're going to give you information on that, okay? Why do they promote a religion that's against Christ himself? Why do they finance information to suppress the truth of Christ? Why they deny Christ in their teachings with the Kabbalah and Talmud? Why they only follow the 5 books of Moses, which they claim, and they don't follow them? But why they stake claim to the 5 books of Moses and deny the New Testament? Why? Why the same people that will reportedly internationally claim that they're Jews and deny Christ in their religion financially back all the Christian churches if they deny Christ? Why? That would be a problem. If I was against Christ, why would I finance a Christian teaching? Christians should examine that. Why do Christians back and uphold content and protect the Israel state when they out in the open deny Christ themselves? Have you ever asked yourself that question? You're going to find out they only finance things that suppress the truth of Christ. So they put laws and finances behind a campaign. And with this campaign, they can use the Christian church to deny the same Christ they think they're upholding. But let's just deal with history for a second. In order to go into the full understanding, of what's going on in Israel today, we must first go into the temple that was built. The temple that was built during Christ's time. One of the last teachings I went into on this, describing the synagogue of Satan, we discussed the fact that the temple that was built during Christ's time was not the actual righteous temple. That temple was backed by the Herodian or the Herod's finances, or the money changers, or what you would call today Jewish people, or we're going to start off with during the time of Hyrcanus, around 130 BC. And I want you all to grab your Josephus so we can give you that history. Then we're going to bring it into Christ and show you how it relates to what's going on today. And please, I want you to identify this information with a non-biased eye. Just look at this information from a historical standpoint. Even those that out there that may fall on this video, which don't even believe the biblical implication or the biblical understanding, and that information is contained in the same Bible some unbelievers are trying to reject. But let's not go off the beaten path. Let's bring it all around. We're going to go into the history in a nutshell of how the Jewish people were able to infiltrate the temple and infiltrate the hierarchy of Israel. And they did this through what you would call a negotiation pact between Julius Caesar to get the Herodian power and to become governors over the children of Israel that were left in Judea. So they were over Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, the Herods. But who were the Herods? Let's get it in the Josephus. Give me book, chapter, and verse.
Antiquities of the Jews, book 13, chapter 9, verse or paragraph 1. Hyrcanus took also Dora.
Now let's
all the Idumeans and permitted them to stay in that country if they would circumcise their genitals and make use of the laws of the Jews.
So this is what Hyrcanus did during 130 BC. Once he destroyed the Idumeans, he told them that they could practice Judaism. So these was Edomites. Edom is Idumea. So he allowed them to survive or live as long as they convert into what we would call Judaism today. Read.
Hyrcanus took also Dora and Marissa, cities of Idumea, and subdued all the Idumeans, and permitted them to stay in that country, if they would circumcise their genitals and make use of the laws of the Jews.
So they would have to circumcise themselves and follow the laws of the Jews. This is your Idumeans converting into what we call Judaism. Now, there's no need for a real Jew to convert into Judaism. They're Jews. So there's no need for them to convert. They're the people. So the converts were the Idumeans who either followed what Hyrcanus was bringing forth or died.
that they submitted to the use of the circumcision.
So because they wanted to go back into the country where their forefathers were, because Esau is the grandson of Abraham. Okay? A matter of fact, Esau, which is the so-called white man we call today, or the European, is more closer in blood
And they were so desirous of living in the country of their forefathers that they submitted to the use of the circumcision and the rest of the Jewish ways of living.
So they started following what you would call a Jew religion. There you go. That's history. Read on.
At which time, therefore, this befell them, that they were hereafter no other than Jews.
Go ahead. Go to the 14th chapter. Okay. Go to the 14th chapter, and you will see one. I want the section 3. You at section 3?
Mm-hmm.
So you want Antiquity of the Jews, 14:1, section 3. Read right here. Read down, starting right there.
Antiquities of the Jews, book 14, chapter 1, paragraph 3.
Go ahead.
And there was a certain friend of Hyrcanus, an Idumean.
A what?
An Idumean.
An Idumean. This is an Edomite or a white person now. Read.
Called Antipater.
Called Antipater. And you're going to find out Antipater was the father of the Herods. He's the father of whom you would one day call Herod the Great. Read.
Who was very rich, and in his nature that Antipater was of the stock of the principal Jews who came out of Babylon into Judea.
So they was lying back then, saying Antipater was of the original Jews that came out of Babylon. Mm-hmm. So they was trying to wiggle their way in at that time of saying that they were the original people. Mm-hmm. Now that's the same thing they do in this time. They'll take you back to a time of much pain and atrocity against them, like the Holocaust, and say that they're the people that came out of captivity and slavery. They did the same thing back then. They was claiming the destruction of Babylon and saying that their people was taken in Babylon. We know the Idumeans helped destroy us during the time of Babylon. The same way to satisfy who?
But that assertion of his was to gratify
or governor over their land. But Herod and Antipater had an agreement with Rome that if Rome put them over the Jews, that they would get the Jews to tax and pay tribute to Caesar. It was political. And by them being in position with the wizards during crisis time, they would take down the king that would one day vice Caesar. Go on.
But that assertion of his was to gratify Herod,
Go ahead.
who was his own son,
Who was his own son. Go ahead.
and who, by certain revolutions of fortune, came afterwards to be king of the Jews.
So afterwards, he became king of the Jews. So he was set up. He wiggled his way in. They used a story of affliction and oppression so that the Jews could accept Idumeans amongst them. Go ahead.
Let's sit on that particular.
Okay, that's it on that. Now, one thing about Herod was also known for building the temples in which the Gentiles would come into and sacrifice swine, pigs on the altar. Herod was known for this. And that's against the Jews. Deny Christ. We will show you why the Jewish people today deny Christ. And I'm perplexed at the idea that the Christian churches would support people who knowingly reject their Lord. You would say, well, we're supporting them because they're God's people. Isn't that backwards? You teach you support them because they're God's people, Israel. But yet, you'll tell people in your church that Israel does not exist, that there's only spiritual Israelites. But yet you acknowledge your people as Israel, not because you know they're Israel based on history. The whole earth. They found out that churches can be bought. So, let's go into it. Read Revelations 2 and 9.
Revelations chapter 2, verse 9.
Now, we need you to follow us closely. We're going to give you geographical and biblical locations of not only where the Jewish people are today, how they got there. We'll also show you who they reside with. Who is their father? Their spiritual father. Christ says, if any man deny me before man, I will deny you before the Father. Okay? Any people that was really down with the Most High in Christ would not be behind mass genocide, would not be behind abortion, will not finance the killing of a people. In BP right now, the oil that's killing the earth, even though it's Bible prophecy and it's going forth, you have to look at who's behind all these corporations, who financed the corporations that's killing the earth. This is true. We're going to give you identification. Read Revelations 2 and 9.
Revelations chapter 2, verse 9.
Go ahead.
I know thy works, and tribulation, and poverty, but thou art rich. And I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews and are not, but are the synagogue of Satan.
So the Most High says, and Christ says right here, it's in red lettering, he told his people at the church, the Israelites that were ruling the church, I know your works. I know your tribulation. I know your poverty. of them which say they are Jews and are not. So in order for us to understand who Christ is speaking of here, we must first look at the people who are promoting or calling themselves Jews. I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews and are not. That means they're not from the seed of Israel like he was from the seed of Israel. They're not from the seed of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, but they're from another stock. So they're not, but they are who?
But are the synagogue of Satan.
But they are the synagogue of Satan, which means the chief house of Satan. They would bring forth Satan rule and power within the earth. Now, I'm saying this because all the movies from Disney dealing with magic, dealing with sorcery, Harry Potter, all these movies are financed by these Jewish people. That's the truth. Look at these images here. They wear all black. I don't want to get into it right now, but we're going to go into it a little later. I want to jump the gun. Finish reading.
Revelations chapter 2, verse 9. I know thy works, and tribulation, and poverty, but thou art rich.
Go ahead.
And I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews and are not.
Christ says he know the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews and are not. But who? Tribulation, but don't fear it. Read.
Behold.
Behold who?
The devil shall cast some of you into prison.
The what shall cast you into prison?
The devil shall cast some of you into prison.
So this synagogue of Satan is being identified as workers of the devil. That people. So they're the ones behind the law that trap the true children of Israel. Well, you need to examine that. Behold, they shall cast you into prison. Look who's actually benefiting from your incarcerations. How can you incorporate a jail? How can you incorporate a jail? Think about that. But Christ is seeing the whole thing.
And are not, but do lie.
He's going to make those of the synagogue of Satan who say they are Jews and are not, but do lie. Okay, and they also the people in this earth that finance the media you have today. Yes, the media is financed by them, and all you see on the news is a bunch of lies. Read.
Behold, I will make them to come and worship before thy feet.
Before it's over, the Most High going to make these same people who think they are above everyone else come and worship before the true children of Israelites' feet. That's what will happen. That's future prophecy. Read.
And to know that I have loved thee.
And we're going to know that Christ loved us. That he's seen us through this. That we're going to get beyond their genocide program. We're going to live through this. And we will see the fall of Satan's power and the people that are promoting Satan's power in this earth. We're not afraid of them. And that's Matthew 11. Let's start at the 20th verse.
St. Matthew, chapter 11, verse 20. Then began he to upbraid the cities, wherein most of his mighty works were done, because they repented not.
So it tells you that then Christ
Verse 21. Woe unto thee, Chorazin!
The Lord says, woe unto Chorazin. Read.
Woe unto thee, Bethsaida!
Woe unto thee, which means destruction unto thee, Bethsaida. Read.
For if the mighty works which were done in you had been done in Tyre and Sidon, they would have repented long ago in sackcloth and ashes.
Because he said, if I would have did the works in Tyre and Sidon that I did here, even they would have changed. And they were doing much evil in Tyre and Sidon. All these areas that I'm mentioning here are cities in what you would call modern day Palestine, Jerusalem. So the Lord is saying, woe unto them. Something is going to eventually leading to our fall. Read.
Verse 22. But I say unto you, it shall be more tolerable for Tyre and Sidon at the day of judgment than for you.
But I say unto you, it shall be more tolerable for Tyre and Sidon in the day of judgment than for you. And I'm putting this out there for all the people think that they can flock into Israel in these last days. Mind you, some brothers and sisters within that region, when it all go down, will make it through that, but a very few. And we're going to go into that in Zechariah a little later. But let's deal with a geographical location. Read.
St. Matthew, chapter 11, verse 23. And thou, Capernaum,
That's what Capernaum is. Capernaum is the exact place. Now, mind you, I'm going to show you the importance of this. The exact place that the Dome of the Rock, where these guys worship at. Let me show you a picture of the Dome of the Rock. In Palestine, Jerusalem. Here it is. Capernaum. The Dome of the Rock. There's a spirit in here in which the high druids and warlocks go to sit with Satan. Right up in here. It became the new Satan seat. And most people are looking for a pope or someone to come and reign in Jerusalem. When they went there to set up the new temple that they started under Herod, the 11th and 12th century, called the Crusades, the battle of who would rule that area so that they can have the power of Satan. When the Arabs ruled the area, they became mighty because they was getting all their understanding and power and military understanding from Satan. So that was the war over the region. People want to know, why are these religions fighting? Not because they believe in God. They want the power of Satan. But the judge is coming. I'm going to show you that. Capernaum. And I want you to do the research yourself. It's right here. And you notice, and I want to put this out there, especially for the people, the poor people of the earth. You notice all ethnicities, all races can travel into Jerusalem freely with no problem. They can travel all over the earth and no one's alarmed. I know someone that traveled into Tel Aviv. A normal brother who just believed in Christ. He was interrogated. He was held up. To desire Zion again, to desire their homeland. So now they're making it where you can't even travel without you being known as some type of suspect or terrorist. Even if you're an innocent, loving Christian. That means you can't be a Christian and black and travel freely unless you're one of their bought ministers. I want you to examine this. And they have, and I'm going to go into this at the end of the class, and remind me to go into it. They have put a garrison up, what you would call it's all out there in the news now. They're making false flag claims of black people coming over to the Middle East being terrorists. So now you're a terrorist because you travel. They're doing this for a reason. But I don't want to go too far off the beaten path. Okay? I want to go into Capernaum to show you that it's the Dome of the Rock where the Jewish people worship. And that something is going to happen in the day of judgment to those in this region. To those in this region, there's a judgment. Finish reading.
St. Matthew, chapter 11, verse 23. And thou, Capernaum, which art exalted unto heaven, shall be brought down to hell.
It says, and thou, Capernaum, which is exalted unto heaven, shall be brought down to hell. So who's in Capernaum? Hold that, and I need you to get Isaiah. Follow us clearly here. Follow us clearly. Follow us close here. Let me get it. Isaiah 14. Isaiah 14, and I need you to read the 12th verse. Hold what you have in Matthew. Get Isaiah 14 and read the 12th verse.
Isaiah chapter 14, verse 12.
Go ahead.
How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer?
How have thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer? Lucifer was an angel that fell once he rebelled against the Most High. We did that in past lessons. Read.
How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning?
Son of the morning. He was called son of the morning because he was one of the many sons of the morning that sang before the Most High. That's their job every morning, to go before the Most High. Angels that have the rank of sons of morning. And they sing before the Most High. He was one of those original angels. Read.
How art thou cut down to the ground?
How did you fall to the ground, Lucifer? Now, mind you, those that are in power today are following what we call a Luciferian doctrine. So they go against any content that claim they're following Satan because they recognize Satan before his fallen state. They feel that the Most High gave him a raw deal. That's what Satan is teaching them. That really, one day he will go into the heavens and get his Go ahead.
Which didst weaken the nations.
And he weakened the nations. Read.
Verse 13. For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven.
He said, I will do what?
I will ascend into heaven.
He said, he promised once the Most High hurled him that he would one day ascend back into the heavenly realm. Read.
I will exalt my throne above the stars of the Most High.
And he would sit on the thrones of the Most High. He will sit on the Most High's throne where the heavens are. Read.
I will sit upon the mount of the congregation and the sides of the north.
North is as far up as you can go. That's where the Most High reside. Read.
Verse 14. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High.
I will be like the Most High. Read.
Verse 15. Yet thou shalt be brought down to hell, to the sides of the pit.
Now go back to where we read in Matthew 11.
St. Matthew chapter 11 verse 23.
Read it.
And thou, Capernaum, which are exalted unto heaven.
Which are exalted unto heaven. To show you it's the spirit of Satan that would one day give man the technology to go into space. Read.
Shall be brought down to hell.
Shall be brought down to hell. So when the so-called Jewish people, which we know are setting up a new seat in Jerusalem so that Satan could rule and give them power over the earth. He showed them how to control the people through the monetary systems. He showed them how to take all resources and incorporate them to control the people, to make the whole earth slaves to him, to one state of the world is the way it is. You have to look who have the power and monetary resource to operate within the earth and make it as it is. Job 9:24 says the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. A lot of you out there would want to blame God for what's going on right now. But if these people were truly the children of Israel, or the people contained in the book, with all their power, military might, and media, and understanding, and finances, if they were a people of the Most High, they could use everything they have to start to change almost immediately. But yet, they have financed the problem. Why? Because Satan have a problem with mankind. And he have a problem with who's coming to bring glory. And they have a problem with the people Christ will set up once he returns. See, a lot of people out there are dealing with bits and pieces, but not pulling it all together, because you're not including the meek and the poor of the earth that the Most
had been done in Sodom, it would have remained until this day.
So Christ says, if I did the miracles in Sodom and Gomorrah that I did in Capernaum, Sodom and Gomorrah would be standing this day. And right now, in the areas of Sodom and Gomorrah, there's ash. There's ash as if that whole place was placed in a furnace. There's still ash from the original burn. Let's see what that is. 1 second. Okay. Close the door, son. So there's still ash from the original. To me, who's doing more war and destruction in the earth? And trying to make you think that regular people are trying to infiltrate the earth and take down governments. No, regular people just want to live. All the false flags are coming from the same city you claim is the chosen people of God. The same city. The false flags of 911, all these different false flags going on in the media, it's all coming from one place. Read on.
St. Matthew, chapter 11, verse 24.
Read.
But I say unto you, that it shall be more tolerable for the land of Sodom in the day of judgment than for thee.
So that's the future judgment when Christ returns. That's the future judgment. I need you to go to Matthew, the 4th chapter. Okay. Start at the 5th verse.
St. Matthew, chapter 4, verse 5.
Go ahead.
Then the devil taketh him up into the holy city, and setteth him on a pinnacle of the temple.
Go ahead.
And saith unto him, If thou be the High, cast thyself down, for it is written, He shall give his angels charge concerning thee. In their hands they shall bear thee up, lest at any time thou dash thy foot against a stone.
So just imagine this. After Christ was in the wilderness and fasted 40 days and 40 nights, the spirit of Satan come before him. Now, mind you, this was before Satan was relegated to just the earth. He had more power. He's so powerful. He took Christ, he grabbed Christ and took Christ to the pinnacle of the temple that was established at that time. Now, mind you, that same temple was set up under the Herods. Okay? Now, of course, it was the temple that the Maccabees bought from ruin. But it was the Herods
written again, thou shalt not tempt the Most High thy power. Again,
Go down to the 8th verse.
verse 8. Again, the devil taketh him up into an exceeding high mountain,
So then he take him to a mountain and do what?
and showeth him all the kingdoms of the world, and the glory of them.
Now, this is how powerful the devil is, or Satan is. He took our Lord and Savior to a mountain
St. Matthew chapter 4, verse 8.
Go ahead.
Again, the devil taketh him up into an exceeding high mountain, and showeth him all the kingdoms of the world, and the glory of them. Verse 9. And saith unto him, all these things will I give thee.
He promised Christ all the glories of the kingdoms you see in the earth. So that shows you that Satan is the king of this earth. He's the god of this earth, or what you would call the prince of the principalities and powers of the air. He's the prince of this world. That's why Christ told him the prince of this world comes. Excuse me, I said king. He's the prince of this world. He says the prince of this world comes, and the prince have nothing in me. It's this guy that have given the riches to whom you call the Jewish factions in the earth today. And mind you, they use a religious content or religious stance to read on.
St. Matthew chapter 4, verse 9.
Go ahead.
And saith unto him, all these things will I give thee, if thou wilt fall down and worship me.
He says, I'll give you all these things. The glory of these kingdoms, the lifestyles of these kingdoms, they will belong to you. He told Christ, if you bow down to me. To let you know that Satan desired to be worshipped in the earth. Now we're going to see what Christ did here. Read.
St. Matthew chapter 4, verse 10. Then saith Yeshua unto him, get thee hence, Satan, for it is written, thou shalt worship the Most High thy power, and him only shalt thou serve.
He said, listen, it's written. So you notice he used the scriptures so that Satan would flee. It is written that thou if he denied it, who accepted it? The people that are controlling the riches and money of the earth. Who have all the glory and power within the earth. Think about it. Who received this promise that Christ denied? going through with Satan. And before that, he was so weak. 40 days and
borders of Zebulun and Naphtali.
and the borders of Zebulun and Naphtali. I wanted to bring that out because it talks about Christ going in near Capernaum, or into Capernaum. It's near the sea coast. It's some of the most beautiful water you could ever imagine in that region. And they won't allow you there. Okay? It's right near the sea coast. And that's where the Dome of the Rock is today. That's a geographical location. Okay? Now let's go.
St. Matthew, chapter 17, verse 24.
Go ahead.
And when they were come into Capernaum, they that received tribute money came to Peter and said.
So let's see what else happened in Capernaum. Now I want you to examine this right here. Out of all the places Christ went, he traveled all over at this point. Now he goes into Capernaum, and look who he run into. 17 and 24. Read.
St. Matthew, chapter 17, verse 24. And when they were come into Capernaum, they that received tribute money came to Peter.
Those that taxed the people. Now, mind you, Herod made an agreement with Caesar that if he was put over the Jews, that he would make sure they pay tribute to them. That's taxing people. Okay? How can you be over someone else's land and take the resources and give it to someone else when the resources belong to the people in the land? But Herod, which was not a Jew, made an agreement. And that's the reason the Jewish factions, along with the IRS, they also have the Federal Reserve systems. That's why if you try to go against anything and you're not in the mainstream, the first place they look is how they can hit you in the pocket financially. Because doing that, they can use the law against you. They'll say, well, it's the law. But how is it a law when the Federal Reserve is not even an actual part of a government? That the preachers receive in their churches today. Okay? It's a breach of contract if they teach anything outside of the guidelines of the 501c3. So they must teach the people what the government tell them they need to hear. If they don't, they can come, IRS can come after the preachers. That's the agreement in taking that money. Okay? So now they're trying to tax Christ. Read.
St. Matthew, chapter 17, verse 25.
Go ahead.
He saith, yes. And when he was coming, verse 26, Peter saith unto him, of strangers.
Of who?
Of strangers.
Of strangers. To show you that Herod was not an Israelite. You can't tax your own people. If he was an Israelite, he would be bringing forth the laws that are servitude to government. So they try now. Here's Satan still using a system to put Christ under his power. Read.
Verse 26. Peter saith unto him, of strangers. Yeshua saith unto him, then are the children free.
He said, then are the children free. We shouldn't have to pay anything. Read.
Verse 27. Notwithstanding, lest we should offend them.
He said, but notwithstanding, you don't want to offend these people because, of course, they're using the law of finance to say you are a criminal. So Christ says, now, if Christ was living today, the Lord and Savior, they would try to tax him. Don't tell me they won't, because they tried to do it back then. He said, we don't want to offend them because they use the law to make you a criminal. Read.
Verse 27. Notwithstanding, lest we should offend them, go thou to the sea, and cast an hook, and take up the fish that first cometh up.
Now you notice Yeshua or Christ did not go into his own pocket. He didn't give them a dime of what he had in his pocket. He said, listen, you go out near the waters and you go get yourself a fish. Read.
And when thou hast opened his mouth, thou shalt find a piece of money. He
said, open the fish mouth and you'll see some money in there. Read.
That take and give unto them for me and thee.
So it's going to be enough in this fish's mouth for you and me. Read. And when you go into the precepts, it tell you financial system. This is how you operate in his kingdom. And he says, give unto God what belongs to God. You know what that is? Our spirit. Give them the money. But let's give the Most High what belongs to him. They use the money now to take your spirit. So you can't even give over to the Most High what belongs to him. That's the system that was set up under the synagogue of Satan. Okay? There's more. I need you to go to Luke 23. And this is before Christ's crucifixion. And I want to go into this especially so that if Christians run into this particular teaching, they can open it up and really see what Christ was really about. And Let's go to Luke 23 and 1. Read. And 2.
St. Luke, chapter 23, verse 1.
Read it.
And when the whole multitude of them arose, and led him unto Pilate, and they began to accuse him, saying, We found this fellow perverting the nation, and forbidding to give tribute to Caesar.
Look at that. Once they had Christ in their custody, the first thing they accused him of was what you would call today tax evasion. That was one of the accusations they wanted to use to kill him. And they began to accuse him, saying, We found this fellow perverting the nation and forbidding to give tribute to Caesar. See, and that's one of the ways you honor Satan. By giving tribute, and not only that, worshiping his money. On your money it have, in God we trust. That's Satan. Read.
St. Luke chapter 23, verse 2.
Saying that he is what?
And they began to accuse him, saying, We found this fellow perverting the nation, and forbidding to give tribute to Caesar, saying that he himself is Christ, a king.
And they were saying, listen, there's only one king, and that's you, Caesar. But you know what? They eventually killed him, but even Pilate found no fault in him. They eventually killed him because the people were whipped up into a frenzy against him.
And on the Talmud rather than on the Bible.
Now that they are now they have financial might and power. You understand? It's showing you now that they have financial power in the earth. They don't care what you think about them now. Now they will outright stand on the Talmud, and they will throw the Torah to the side. They don't care if you know that they're not the Jews, because they own the world now. But at first they had to make everyone believe they were the people. So, and the more power they got, the more they started coming out with the truth, because they knew the truth would come out anyway. Okay? So now they stand on the Talmud. They don't stand on the laws of the Bible or the Torah. They don't. And under the Talmud teachings, it's their right to rule the world, and the rest of the people in the earth are just cattle. That's what they believe. You're just cattle. You're good for nothing. You need to be fed to each other. That's their teachings. That's the Talmud teachings. Read the next paragraph. Over here.
Synagogue of Satan, page 115.
115, read it.
1925. This year's Jewish Encyclopedia states the existence of Ashkenazi Jews who represent approximately 90% now actually represents the Jewish race.
It tell you that Esau or Edom actually represents the Jewish race. We brought that out in our class, that they're from the seed of Amalek. And the Most High punished Saul for not destroying the king of Amalek, because Amalek was going to take up, Amalek's sons was going to take or what?
States of the existence of Ashkenazi Jews who represent
history. It was right there in Josephus. Who you think print Josephus? They do. They print their origin, how they infiltrated Judaism. Inhabiting the Middle East. It doesn't make any sense. If the Germans did that to them, shouldn't they be living in Germany and getting land in Germany? Wake up. And by acknowledging them, people in this earth have denounced chosen people. Let's keep on. Go ahead.
when on page 42 of volume 5 it is stated, Edom is in modern Jewry.
Edom is modern Jewry, which means and guess what? They do not back the Christian theologian at all. They just pay you to defend them. On us and our children. We're going to show you what that means. Let's start at the first verse. Go ahead.
Zechariah.
To the 11 tribes. If the governments were to get money and pull money together for the Jews which are suffering all over the earth, we're going to show you when it's rest. It tell you in Isaiah the 2nd chapter that when the true Israelites are in the land, there'll be no more war. They're not resting over there. They live in day and night There's no place on the earth that in this Bible that says once the true children of Israel is set up, that they'll be going into war against the other nations. Christ is going to war before us. Christ is going to war before us. Not these puny little militaries you see in the earth today. Read.
Verse 2. And Hamath also shall border thereby, Tyrus and Zidon, through it, though it be very wise. And Tyrus did build herself a stronghold, and heaped up silver as the dust.
She did what?
And Tyrus did build herself a stronghold.
She built herself a stronghold. Where did that happen at? That happened in Jerusalem. They built themselves a stronghold and heaped up silver as the dust. Let you know that they made a system in Israel in which they can control all the silver and resources and give you paper. That's worth nothing. You're going to find out how much your paper is worth very soon. Read.
And Zechariah chapter 9, verse 3. And Tyrus did build herself a stronghold, and heaped up silver as the dust.
And who's controlling the silver and gold? You know, Goldman and Sachs, all